Rolo, I see more single moms these days anytime I'm out, regardless of the city and the state or the state. Has it become a badge of honor to become a single mother versus retaining a husband or father? The stigma is gone. How's that? Ever since the section, I actually made this point to Lawyer Chick back on the Fresh and Fit show, and I'll tell you why I ducked out here in just a second. The reason why, like, first of all, there's, when it comes to single mothers, there's always going to be a hesitation on the part of men, period. I'll tell you the story about my one incident with a single mother back in the day here in a minute. But there's a hesitation. Even if you have never heard of Rich Cooper or myself or anyone else when it comes to like single mothers saying, avoid single mommies, right? Even if you haven't heard that, even if you're just like 18 years old and fresh off the boat, there's still going to be a hesitation to get with a single mother, unless you're such a beta schlub that seems like the best option for you. So why do I say that? Well, prior to the sexual revolution, if a woman was a single mother and she wasn't a widow, it was a badge of shame. There was a stigma attached to that. So if a woman got pregnant and there was no father, we called it a bastard child. That's where that word comes from, is a bastard. And there was a shame, but was brought on the family. There was a stigma about that. And prior to, let's say, maybe in the early 60s and maybe the 50s for sure, if a woman, hell, even the 40s, right? If a woman was with child from a man, either she knew or she didn't know, and he was gone, there was there's only one option, is to have the child and let the grandparents raise it. And there was a great deal, depending on where you were, but a great deal of shame that was, depending on the culture too, that was attached to being a single mother. Now, after the sexual revolution, after the advent of hormonal birth control and safe, illegal, on-demand abortion, now being a single mother is a badge of honor. It's a badge of pride. Especially, you go look on any Mother's Day, interviews or podcasts or sermons at your church. Women who are single mothers are upheld as being superheroes. So the stigma that existed prior to, say, 1965, and this is completely gone in the last 60 some odd years. So yeah, it is. Is it a badge of, do women want to electively become single mothers? I don't know. I think maybe on an individual basis, yes and no. But what I do know is that stigma is no longer around. But the hesitation on the part of men is still around, because that's an evolutionary fail-safe for guys. Men generally don't want to get with a woman who has already been impregnated with a child that is not his own. That's a resource drag. And that people say, oh, that's dehumanizing. Yeah, I am dehumanizing you, because that's in our evolutionary past. That's why we have that sexual, for men, if women tend to have the greater sexual revulsion. And there's multiple studies on this. Rolf Dengen has put a few of them out not too long ago. But women have a higher incidence or a higher sensitivity, let's just say, to sexual revulsion. That's not to say that men don't. And I shouldn't even say revulsion in the terms of men. It's definitely a hesitation. And I think women understand that. The hindbrain, the lizard brain, can understand that most guys don't want to get with a single mommy. So would you like me to tell you the story of the single mommy? I was dating a woman who was quite a bit older than I was when I was in my 20s. She was actually a manager of one of the bands that I was in at the time. And she was great, man. She bought me cars. She would take me everywhere. She paid for. She was my sugar mama for a while, right? It was awesome. And one time, early on in our sort of whirlwind romance, I don't think it lasted all 6 months, I was going to her place, went to her condo, and I was waiting for her because she was getting off of work or something like that. I was waiting for her at the condo. And I've been to the condo before, and I'd been inside before, obviously. And I'm looking at from the outside, waiting for her to come by. And I'm looking at the condo. I'm like, man, this is a much bigger condo than it looks like on the inside, right? And I've told this story before, so for the benefit of people who haven't heard it yet. So I asked her, like, there's a living room and a kitchen and her bedroom and a shower and everything. And there's this other door that was part of the apartment or the condo, really. And I asked her, I said, where's that door go? I said, where? Because I was just curious because it was a very long thing. She goes, oh, that's just the washroom. Like, it's like where the washer and the dryer are. I'm like, oh, okay. I accepted that. And then one time, I think I got up in the morning. She was in the shower or something like that. And I got up and I was just, the curiosity got the best of me. And I went into the door and I opened the door and there was a washroom there. She wasn't lying about that. The laundry was there, but there was a whole nother bedroom and it was filled with like kids' toys and a kid's bed. And I'm like, oh shit. And she realized that and she was like crying. She's like, I'm sorry. I didn't want you to think I was a single mommy. I know you wouldn't want to get with me or whatever. Cause I'm like 22. I didn't know. I wasn't red pilled back then. We're talking like the early 90s. Right. And at the time I didn't really care because she was managing the band I was in and it was fun while it lasted. But then I realized, like later on when I reconsidered that story, I thought, well, it wasn't me. It was her who was really just deathly afraid that I would find out that she was a single mother. And now I understand why, because there's a stigma, or not a stigma. There's like this understanding. I think it's kind of like hindbrain limbic level understanding that most guys are not going to want to get with a single mother, even as far back as like what, 1992, 93, somewhere around there, 90. And that helped me appreciate the sort of the stigma that goes along with single moms, at least the innate natural stigma, not the social stigma.